Hi everyone, my name is Nicole Rocchio and I am a strategic partner manager that sits on our partnerships team. Today I will be talking to you about our News Consumer Insights report. News Consumer Insights is a report or an audit completed within a publisher's account in accordance with the data from Google Analytics that we use in order to help build a sustainable business for them. This report can be compiled using Google Analytics free. And if you use another analytics, you're also able to implement our Google Analytics onto your page for 30 days, and then we can run this report for you. So what our report works on and uncovers is this framework here. We have our casual readers to our loyal readers to our brand lovers and subscribers. And what this report will help uncover is which readers drive value across your site, how you build a loyal user base, how you can improve engagement with those users, or how you could convert your users into paying customers with a subscription model. Now, what we want to do is pay attention to the gaps that would be in the metrics that you find within this report. When you are able to pull this report, you would go to News Consumer Insights, which you can actually get straight from Google, and you will log into your Google Analytics through that on the site, and you're able to pull up all of this data yourself. We've compiled it into a deck today to show you how we can walk through it. What we have here is our NCI user value score. So this is something that we've conducted composed of 4 metrics. Page views per user, so how many articles does a user read on average session duration, how long a user spends time on the site, sessions per user, how many times does a user visit your site, page views per session, how many articles does the user read or interact with. And so what this user value score tells us, and you can see here to the right, it goes from 0 to 100. Average is 50 in the middle. And something that you can do in order to make sure that you're being compared against other users that are similar is what we do is have a benchmark site size there on the right-hand side. And so what you'll be able to do is decide who you want to be compared against or how many users that site typically interacts with. Here are the 2 things that we have for News Consumer Insights assets. So it's the dashboard that we have online that you're able to access, as well as our playbook. The playbook can be quite lengthy, but you can jump to different sections within the playbook when you want to find more information on certain pieces. So while we were doing the News Consumer Insights, we worked with a lot of different publishers, and we also on our site have different scores that we have for each of these 4 or case studies that you can look at and read to see how we improved certain parts of their site. So digital subscriptions or subscription revenue. The membership model that we launched for BuzzFeed News, or subscription sold for the New Yorker. We also have something called real-time content insights. It's a subset of the News Consumer Insights report. And what this does is identify in real time which articles are the most popular with your readers and what broader topics are trending in the region. The real-time content insights enables engaging data visualization for your newsroom and is available for publishers using all versions of Google Analytics. Now, we're going to jump into the part called the NCI diagnostic, and this will take a look at the data of your site. But please keep in mind all of the data that we're going to see in the following slides is randomized and doesn't reflect any data of a specific publisher. All right, getting started. What we see here is on the left our casual readers to our loyal readers and then to our brand lovers. In order to differentiate what this means to you, casual readers are new visitors to Google Analytics. Returning visitors in Google Analytics are our loyal readers, and then readers that have 15 plus sessions in the past 30 days in Google Analytics would be considered your brand lovers. And so what we want to do when we're looking at this is pay attention to the gaps in the metrics between each segment. So a few things to think about or keep in mind. How do they compare in size? Where is the biggest opportunity to move a segment down the funnel? How many articles are your casual readers viewing compared to your brand lovers? If each page view is an opportunity to generate advertising revenue, where do you think that you should be spending your resources? Which users in this funnel have the best ROI? Another thing to note is on these different graphs, you'll see red or green arrows indicating against each number. What this is talking about is we are comparing the last 30 days, and this is the numbers that are projected on the screen, to the prior 30 days and letting you know where you've trended along those lines. Then we'll jump into your reader funnel overview of personas. And so what your personas are talking about is the gender, age, device, traffic source. And so if we wanted to take a look at this one, for example, we see that male is their heavy user, and then we'll go into their age categories. And now for their casual and loyal readers, we notice that they're 25 to 34, but brand lovers is 65 plus, something to note. As well as, you see everyone is using mobile device. And so something to think about or keep in mind is you want to keep them engaged on mobile then. And so then you go down to your traffic source and you say, okay, where are they coming from? How are they finding our site? Is it organic search? Is it direct? These are all things that you want to keep in mind to understand how your casual readers are coming to your site and engaging with it, or how to properly target them so that you know how to bring more of them to your site. And these segments that we show you are something that can be created in your analytics, and you can download them into your Google Analytics to then continue to track them if that's something that you're interested in. Moving forward, we are now going to look at how your loyal readers are performing. And this is also something that we'll break down with your casual readers as well, but for today we're going to take a look at our loyal readers. So what this is showing is on the left-hand side versus the right-hand side, it's going to be your desktop and your tablet versus your mobile. And then in the dark blue column is technically what would be your data, or the data that you would have for your site. Now the middle column is our benchmarks, so that's industry average. And then on the right-hand side is going to be best in class. And so that is someone that in the user group that you've decided to be a part of and measure yourself against, those are the people that are doing the absolute best within that segment. And so what we want to then focus on is that user value score right there at the top. So we see 27 on one side and 14 on the other. If your user value score is below 50, it means that your segment is performing below average. And if it's above 50, your segment is overperforming the industry average. So basically it means that we have room for improvement. And then what we'll do as we go through the audits is that we'll point out different areas of improvement, such as the green sessions per user. And then we'll give you a recommendation on how to potentially fix that or change it. And so on the right-hand side of the screen, you see optimization, low sessions per user, more visits. So now we want to work on optimizing visit frequency to push your readers to come back. And the same goes as well with the yellow box. It's another optimization. This one, low pages per session. So what we're looking at is longer visits. You should optimize visit depth to make sure that you're pushing your readers to read more of the content that's on your site. The third observation in the red is a paywall. And this is something where we do have an in-depth look at paywalls and subscriptions, and that's something that we can also go into. Now, these are overall our entire sections of recommendations. So 3 sections to note: more visits, longer visits, driving more consumer revenue. And that is if you have subscription or paywall capabilities. For today, we're going to go into in-depth about the more visits and the longer visits and explain more about the optimizations that you can make in those areas. Going into more visits, our first one is newsletter widgets. So these are best-in-class examples, but there are a few things that you want to keep in mind. You want to reduce the number of your fields. So focus only on one field, email, and then that will remove your friction. Make it easy for your users to interact. So enable autocomplete to populate previously saved email addresses within the browser when you're asking them to put in their email for your newsletter. The look and feel, use contrasting colors for the CTA and personalize the messaging to the content so that the users understand that you're engaging specifically with them on a certain page. And then position. There's a sign-up box that should be easily discoverable across articles and above the fold. Focus on inline, on desktop, and or anchored formats on mobile. And so taking a look here, we have BuzzFeed News, The Guardian, and we're looking at where they're placing their newsletter widgets just so that it's easy for their consumers to put their information in and get that newsletter box to pop up. Now, next one is web push notifications. There's 3 things to keep in mind here. The look and the feel, so focus on personalizing the prompt messaging. Don't maybe keep it very vague. Make it something a little bit more exactly like on the page that they may be on and pertain it to that. Display frequency. Prompt shouldn't appear too soon in the session. prioritize acquisition on article view or second user impression. And so you don't want to push everything at once. As a publisher, you want to decide which one is most important to push first and then when. So example, maybe you would wait for them to read a couple articles before asking them to do anything with push notifications or a newsletter. And then going on from there, do you want to ask them to sign up for push notifications first, or would you prefer to ask them to sign up for your newsletter first? Ultimately, you don't want to overflow the users with too many notifications because you want to be able to test in a simple way what would work better for them. As well as building your own versus your third party. The implementation might require many tech resources, and so third party is another example that you could go to use. Going to optimizing structured data. So getting more search real estate. Adding structured data to your news, blog, and sports article pages can help enhance your appearance in Google search results. Enhancing the features, also called rich results, can include placement in the top stories carousel, host carousel, visual stories, and rich result features such as headline text and larger than thumbnail images. And there's other things to keep in mind as well. So you want to make sure that you're implementing the right structured data. So you can reference schema.org to ensure you're implementing the right tags. You want to make sure you're removing all of your errors. Any errors within your structured data will result in your content not being considered for the rich snippets. And we do have something called our structured data test tool. And you're able to click into that, and then it'll run a report on any page that you're using within your site, and you'll be able to see the errors that you're working with, and then how to also remove those errors. Social amplification. It's really, really important to implement and see if it works. So we want to make sure that it makes sense to work on social sharing and the correct social sharing on the pages, and then where to position it on your pages. What is helpful is you could set up tracking to see what works best for your site. So for social, your buttons should be visible throughout the entire article. On mobile, we should consider an anchor format, such as the one that's shown here on the left-hand side. You want to make sure that you're relevant to your audience. So make sure you're displaying all of the relevant social buttons to your audience, such as Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, whatever your users engage most with. The look and feel. Try to preserve the original icon color of each social network because it will help you drive more clicks. If you're thinking about a user as they're going through your site and they're reading an article and they decide that they would want to share it, or they want something to trigger them to remind them that they would like to share it, seeing the blue Twitter icon is going to be more beneficial and eye-grabbing for that user than having them potentially grayed out, such as they are here on the right-hand side. Now we'll dive into how to promote longer visits. So your recirculation strategy. These are some best-in-class examples. When we're talking about recirculation, what we're talking about is driving more users to more of your content. And so where you're placing that throughout your entire article is really important. The position and the prioritizing of it, especially on mobile versus desktop. But these recirculation articles should be easily discoverable across articles and above the fold. Anchor formats can work really well on mobile, and sticky positions on navigation bars perform really well as well. And so if we're looking here on the left-hand side of the Seattle Times, there's that sticky format so that if you wanted to click in to the Seattle Times in order to navigate to another section, it's much easier than having to potentially scroll all the way back to the top and then having to find their menu bar to go to another article. You also want to continue working on prioritizing your own articles within your content. So leverage recommendation engines, but ensure a healthy balance between your external and internal article recommendations. If you're providing more resources for them to continue recirculating, you'll be able to capture more users on more article pages. And then you want to remember the look and the feel. Images drive more engagement and should be displayed on the left-hand side. That's what we have found within our research. And so when you're doing recirculation, if you wanted to, let's say, start in an article and scroll a few paragraphs down, instead of having maybe a link with just text, you could consider putting in a small little image right next to your text so that it actually has the user drive their look to that specific part on your site, and then they'll want to click it more. as well as if they scroll down to the bottom and they also want recirculation. Using an image in there as well will also be incredibly beneficial. We've also noticed that on the left-hand side versus the right-hand side, more users engage with the left-hand side. Now, this isn't to say that the right-hand side isn't beneficial. It absolutely is. And as always, please test to see which is working better with your users and then continue to drive that engagement. Another thing to consider is if your site is fast enough. And so what we do is we provide different avenues for you to go and check your site speed. One of these avenues is called Page Speed Insights. But what we want to do is focusing on optimizing your images. So tap into next generation formats or optimize systematically the size of your images. Resources blocking rendering. You have too many elements differing content rendering. Are you lazy loading? Not all readers will scroll to the end of your pages, so load your elements accordingly. And then the Page Speed Insights tool. It's something that we use for our publishers for them to go in and then test their URLs. And so you can go into your Page Speed Insights in order to run that test speed, as well as using other capabilities such as our Lighthouse Chrome extension. That's another way to run an audit on your site to see how fast it is. Something that you want to keep in mind with page speed, when you're looking at your casual readers and you want to drive those casual readers to become your loyal readers or your brand lovers, something that casual readers find incredibly important is the site speed. And going into this next page, you'll see that 50% abandon if a site takes longer than 3 seconds to load. That's something to consider. I think that when you're going into your Page Speed Insights and you're able to look at those different recommendations, work on getting that site speed to be below 3 seconds, and we believe that we'll see a growth driven from your casual readers. 47% expect a page to load in less than 2 seconds, and 52% say a fast load time is important to brand loyalty. All different things to keep in mind as you're going through debating on how to grow specific areas of your readers, either from casual to loyal to brand lovers, and then again to subscribers. We do have, as another part of our audit, our subscription model. Due to today, we're going to stick specifically with how to do faster or longer visits, but we also work on our subscription models and how to take those users and convert more of them past your paywall or into a subscription. That is all for today on our News Consumer Insights audit. And if you have any more information throughout the entire presentation today, we have linked the News Consumer Insights playbook as well as different resources that you have available to use in order to test different things for your site. As well as we have something called Google Optimize, and it's a free A/B testing site where you can put any of these different changes that you would like to try into that Optimize in order to see how your users are going to react to different changes within your site. Google Optimize is another resource that you have as well at your fingertips, and that's something that you can find in our G Suite organization. Thank you so much for your time and have a good rest of your day.